Hi guys, welcome back to IRC News reported daily to you by yours truly. Hi, my name is Natalie.
And I'm Emma.
And today we will be reviewing the latest assigned article that examines whether there's a notable link between the type of sex education. In this case, we're going to be discussing abstinence only versus comprehensive, and the effects and the chances of teens having sex, getting pregnant, or contracting STDs. This article was written and published by Pamela K. Kohler, Lisa E. Manhart, and William E. Lafferty.
Firstly, in the United States, rates of sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, teen pregnancy, and teen births are higher compared to other industrialized nations. Despite similar levels of sexually activity across developed countries, in the U.S. faces challenges in addressing these issues. Two main types of formal sex education programs are implemented: abstinence-only and comprehensive sex education. Abstinence-only programs emphasize delaying sex until marriage and often limit discussions about contraception, while comprehensive programs include information with both abstinence and contraception. Federal funding for abstinence-only programs has increased, and their effectiveness in reducing sexual risk behavior is questioned. Data analysts from the National Survey of Family Growth aim to determine whether the type of sex education received impacts STD and pregnancy risk, and whether teaching about contraception influences the likelihood of engaging in sexual activity before marriage.
Moving on to the methods, in this study, they used data from the National Survey of Family Growth that was conducted between January of 2002 and March of 2003 to examine the impact of formal sex education programs on the pregnancy and STD risk among never married heterosexual teens aged from around 15 to 19. The sample included about 2,070 adolescents who reported no formal sex education, abstinence-only education, or comprehensive education covering both abstinence and birth control. Exclusions were made for married individuals, those reporting non-heterosexual orientation, and those exposed to birth control-only education. The analysis revealed 3 measures of adolescent sexual risk: ever engaging in vaginal intercourse, pregnancy, and STD diagnosis. Weighted multivariate logistic regression controlling for various factors was used to assess the association between type of sex education and sexual risk. Stratified weight analysis was performed, and statistical tests compared proportions. Results were combined across genders due to no substantive differences found.
The study analyzed data from the 2002 Cycle 6 of the National Survey of Family Growth, also known as NSFG, to examine the impact of different types of sex education on the likelihood of sexual activity, teen pregnancy, and STD diagnosis among heterosexual adolescents aged 15 to 19 in the United States. It found that comprehensive sex education was associated with a lower likelihood of teen pregnancy compared to no sex education, while adolescents-only education showed no significant association. However, neither type of education was significantly linked to the risk of STD diagnosis.
Overall, the assessment examined the impact of formal sex education programs on teen sexual health using national data. It found that abstinence-only programs did not delay sexual activity or reduce teen pregnancy and STD risk. In contrast, comprehensive sex education was associated with reduced risk of teen pregnancy and marginally decreased likelihood of becoming sexually active. Socioeconomic factors influence access to sex education, with disadvantaged youth less likely to receive it. The study suggests that comprehensive sex education is effective in reducing teen pregnancy risk without increasing sexual activity, while abstinence programs only have minimal impact. And that is our report on the first article.
Thank you, Emma and Natalie. I'm Sarah.
And I, Caleb.
We'll be taking over for the second part of this report analysis. We will be discussing the secondary source and how it supports the argument of whether there's a notable link between the type of sex education and the chances of teens having sex, getting pregnant, or contracting STDs. In this study, the impact of sex education mandates on teenage pregnancy, international evidence, written by David Patton, Stephen Bullivant, and Juan Soto, finds that teenage pregnancy and abortion has dropped since 2007 because of the increase in sex education being taught to teenagers. In this article, it explains how high economic costs are related to early childbearing because of the amount it costs the teenagers and society as a whole. Teen pregnancy and abortions cause direct health care costs and conflicting outcomes of the solution to prevent these actions from happening. This paper uses data from 45 developed European and Commonwealth countries to compare the results of teenage abortion rates compared to teenage birthing rates, and how that would relate to sex education.
This study uses some methods about the impact of sex education on teenage pregnancies, including the triple defense approach and the event study methodology. The objective for the triple defense approach method is to compare the effects of sex education policies on teenage pregnancy rates relative to the effects on women aged 20 to 24. Controlling the potential correlations whether SRE policies have a differential impact on teenagers compared to older age groups. On the other hand, the event study methodology is measured the impact of SRE mandates by comparing fertility before and after implementation, conducting a joint test of significance for pre-implementation effects.
We can infer the relationship between sexual health policy and adolescent pregnancy rates is nuanced and influenced by various factors. While sex education mandates and other policy measures may play a role, their impact is not straightforward and requires further investigation. Additionally, the study underscores the importance of considering control variables and addressing data challenges in research on this topic.
Theory suggests that the SRE may have an effect on teenage pregnancies. Consistent with this, most empirical studies on particular sex education initiatives have found little evidence that they are effective in reducing teenage pregnancies. To date, very little research has examined the impact of laws mandating sex education, and none at all have tested the effects across a range of countries.
The secondary source discusses the research that clarifies how well sex education laws work to address problems with teenage sexual health and educate decision makers about the advantages of enacting or strengthening such laws. The study also investigates how sex education programs deliver and content affect how effective they are at lowering the rate of teenage pregnancies. It also explores the possibility of a correlation between lower rates of teenage pregnancy in areas or nations with mandatory sex education and those with simpler or non-existent regulations. The study intends to comprehend the possible influence of sex education policies on teenage pregnancy and other sexually related outcomes by examining data from multiple nations.
This is all for the last bit of the report. And now we will send you to a reporter live on the field. Let's see what the people have to say. Take it away, Rachel.
Alright, so does that make you believe that comprehensive sex education would increase the sexual activity, teen pregnancies, and contracting of STDs?
I would say yes, because people who are doing it are mostly young and they're not thinking that much of protection maybe, and they're just really impulsive about their thoughts. So that's why I would say the increasing of getting STDs are much higher for the comprehensive side than the other one.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and we're back with another interviewee. What's your name?
My name's Kito.
Alright, and then I just have a question for you. Is there a significant association between the type of formal sex education received, abstinence versus comprehensive, and the chances of teens engaging in sexual activity, teen pregnancy, or the contraction of STDs?
Well, first of all, that's a long question. And yes, I think there's a correlation because in my personal experience, I started having sex soon after we had our sex talk in school. And when I say soon after, I mean within a year after. And I think that had something to do with the fact that I didn't know anything about sex before. It wasn't a thing that me and my parents talked about. It wasn't a thing that was openly discussed in my household. And then after that, coming to school and it being a topic of discussion on a daily basis, because this was a big topic after it was introduced to us. None of us, or not all of us, but most of us didn't have much experience with sex. Most of us haven't really explored sex at all at that point. And so I guess it led to a lot of curiosity and then eventually exploration. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna-
And how does it tie back into abstinence, comprehensive?
Abstinence.
You believe?
Well, you're not abstinence after you start having sex. I don't think it's. I mean, is there another question?
No, that's it. Okay, now we're going to be asking people that we find in the parking lot. Oh, here's someone. Hi, do you have a minute?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. What's your name?
Chase.
All right, perfect. I just have one question for you for a project that we're doing. So, do you believe that there is a significant association between the types of formal sex education received, abstinence or comprehensive, and the chances of teens engaging in sexual activity, teen pregnancy, or contracting STDs?
I think kids are gonna do it regardless, but I think if you teach about it, there's a less chance of the negative things happening,
So,
like babies.
so you're picking abstinence? Or what the comprehensive?
I'm picking you should teach kids.
Teach kids? It's not comprehensive.
No,
Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
no problem.
Have a good night.
You too.
My name is Justin, and I'm going to be taking this over with. And we have, in summary, this report examined the impact of formal sex education programs on adolescent sexual health using nationally representative data. It was found that abstinence-only programs have no significant effect on delaying the initiation of sexual activity or reducing the risk of teen pregnancy and sexually transmission diseases, aka STDs. In contrast, comprehensive sex education programs were significantly associated with a lower risk of teen pregnancy compared to no sex education or abstinence-only sex education, and were marginally associated with a reduced likelihood of teens becoming sexually active and compared to those who received no sex education.
In short, this report suggests that teaching comprehensive sex education could help reduce teen pregnancy without pushing teens to start having sex earlier. But we need more studies to fully understand how effective these programs are in different situations. Also, we should look closer at the specific types of sex education being taught to improve future policies and programs.
Thank you.
Thank you.